August 3rd will of course be a very nice set of fights, as it will be Terrence Crawford versus Israel Madrimov. Now of course everyone knows is that this will be a very stacked card. Now of course the opener is Andy Cruz facing yet again another Mexican, so that's his own thing. David Morrell finally moving up to light heavyweight to fight for the regular WBA heavyweight championship. You know, you can say your own thing. Oh, maybe he moved up because Canelo was ducking him. Other people are saying he's there to chase Benavidez, but like, I mean, you have a belt, might as well go for the Canelo fight. But considering Canelo's now fighting Berlanga, safe to assume he wasn't going to go after Morrell either. But anywho, we won't be talking about those fights because although Morrell will be fighting a dude 29-2 and only 33 years old, he's still very young. You know, it's very hard to make an argument about Morrell and Cruz's opponents pulling off the upset. Anyways, the next fight is Jared Anderson is the B-side against Martin Bakole. Now, of course, this was supposed to be Wilder versus Anderson, kind of passing of the torch kind of thing. But of course, we all know how Wilder's last fight ended, so, you know, they had to think of something else. But of course, the B-side, Jared Anderson, Big Baby. Okay, well, the real Big Baby. That's a interesting nickname. But we're going to hear that again. Anyways, he is 17-0 with 15 wins by way of knockout. Before, he had a 100% knockout ratio until he faced the former world champion Charles Martin. But anywho, Martin Bakole is 20-1 with 15 wins by way of knockout and 1 loss by way of knockout. 4 more fights than Anderson, but of course he also has 1 more loss. But anywho, that 1 loss was to the 14-1 Michael Hunter. He lost in the very last round. Now of course if we look at Hunter's record afterwards, the only blemishes on his record are split decision draws to Jerry Force and Alexander Povektin. So yeah, safe to assume he's doing good for himself. So that loss is not aging very bad. So, you know. But anywho, people are saying that Bakole might pull off the upset, considering he is ranked number 10 in the world according to BoxRec, while Jared Anderson is ranked number 7. Now, of course, the last time we had 2 fighters who were ranked very similar to each other, also very young, it did not end well for the younger guy. So, will this be any different? Yes, it will be very different because Bakole is a very good fighter, obviously. 20-1, 15 wins by way of knockout. You've seen his record. He fought his fair share of undefeated opponents, 10-0 and 11-0. But at the end of the day, even at the young age of 24, Anderson has, well, fought better opponents. Of course, his best win is against Charles Martin, the former world champion. Okay, it's not that much better than Bakole's, but like he has one shining thing in his resume. But of course, although it was a very dominant win, he was very close to getting stopped in the last round himself. But then again, dude was 23 at the time, or I think 23, fighting against a former world champion, you know. You expect some struggle. But he didn't manage to knock Martin down. And afterwards, he fought a guy just so he could get his knockout streak back, but it ended up getting destroyed anyways. He then went decision with Riyad Merhi, where everyone, well, was criticizing him. And it makes good sense, too, because he was stopped once, right? But you ain't going to believe who he lost to. He lost to the former WBA World Cruiserweight Champion of the world. That's right, Cruiser. And then he moved up. And then lost again to the 28-2. Unanimous decision. And then he lost to Jared Anderson. So Jared Anderson went to decision with a cruiserweight who got stopped in cruiserweight. But then again, it's one of those guys where, you know, cruiserweight, they can make it, but it's not really their best division. But who do I got winning? Of course, Bakole is one of those heavyweights where he is not sluggish. He has some type of speed, but he's very slow. Kind of. He's not that slow, but you get the point. He's one of those slower heavyweights. But Anderson is quicker, sharper, and he has the athleticism to keep him off him. Of course, you go, you know, stay on the outside, just pick and poke at him to a knockout win. I do believe Anderson will finally get the best win of his record, being a 9th round stoppage over Martin Bakole. Does Bakole have a chance? Yes, he has absolute, as they would say, mini bombs in his hand. Kind of like he's swinging a club. He's like one of those fighters. If he manages to hit him with one of those, obviously he's going to get hurt. It's heavyweight. You land one good shot, that basically changes the fight. But I don't think he's going to get that super big shot in. I think he's going to get some good shots in. Obviously, Anderson's still 24. Probably still has some stuff he needs to work on. But for the most part, I do think it will be enough to beat a Bakole 9th round stoppage. People are saying there's a chance of an upset. I don't know what the odds are. But that Anderson will lose. Very good chance. You never know. They're ranked only like 3 places apart. So very easily Bakole can pull off the upset. So, yeah. But anywho, now back to another pair of heavyweights, also weirdly enough named Baby. Jarrell Miller, aka the Big Baby. So yeah. We'll be taking on Andy the Destroyer Ruiz. Of course, Jarrell Miller is 26-1 with 1 draw, 22 wins by way of knockout, and 1 loss by way of knockout. Now, of course, we all know where that 1 loss came from. It was in the very last round, almost the end of the fight, against Daniel Dubois. The thing is, obviously, Morel was supposed to fight Anthony Joshua, and then he popped dirty like 3 times, so that's something. We'll talk about that later. Anyways, Andy Ruiz, the former unified heavyweight champion of the world, 35-2, with 22 wins by way of knockout. He is coming off of a unanimous decision win over Luis Ortiz. Now, of course, we all know where his losses came from. 1 via unanimous decision against Anthony Joshua in the rematch, and 1 majority decision to Joseph Parker, where many people thought he should have got the nod and became world champion. But you never know. When the people say that God has a plan, this must be the plan. He lost to Joseph Parker, then came out of nowhere and upset Anthony Joshua for the unified titles. Why have 1 belt when you can have 3? But anywho, this will be a very interesting fight, as Andy Ruiz has basically not fought in 2 years. And he was getting touched a lot against the very old Luis Ortiz. You see these scorecards? They're very weird ones. 114, 111, 113, 112, 114, 111. It was a very close competitive fight. Except Ortiz got knocked down like twice, or 3 times actually. But that was against a very crafty southpaw. So we'll give him benefit of the doubt. Now, of course, this will be a chance for another title run themselves, as Ruiz is 34 years of age, and the Big Baby is no longer a baby, as he is 36. Now, of course, who do I got winning? Now, this is a very interesting one, because Jarrell Miller came in at 333 pounds last time. And don't get me wrong, he's doing good at that weight, but, he gassed out pretty hard against Daniel Dubois. If he comes in a lot lower, he doesn't even need to go below 300, but somewhere around there, I could possibly see Morel outworking Andy Ruiz. He is coming off of a 2-year layoff. Not to mention, after the Joshua loss, he came back 2 years afterwards against Chris Arreola, where he got dropped. Yeah, it wasn't that close of a fight, but it was a competitive fight. He may have won all those rounds, but he had to fight for them, literally. So coming off of, again, 2 years, coming off of a big dude who will pressure you, that could very well end badly for Ruiz. At the end of the day, locking a pick, what most likely is going to happen, I got Andy Ruiz via split decision win over Jarrell Big Baby Miller. That's right, split decision. I think Miller will absolutely outwork him in the very early rounds. I think he banks 4 to 5 of them easy. And then Ruiz comes back in strong and closes out the show. Not via knockout, but, via decision. But anywho, both of these guys are basically almost at the end of their careers. A win here, they have to make a statement. So even though I think it's going to go to decision, both of them need a knockout. So then people think, oh, this dude can actually make a very good title run. Because, the belts might get scattered and everything. You never know. But anywho, the next fight, the co-main event, a very interesting one, as it will be for the WBA Super Lightweight Championship of the World. Isaac Pitbull Cruz will be taking on Rayo Valenzuela. Okay, well, his actual name is Jose Valenzuela, but his name's Rayo. So, anyways, the challenger, Rayo, will be 13-2 with 9 wins by way of knockout and 1 loss by way of knockout. Of course, one of his losses was a little controversial. His other one, not so much. Of course, he did lose knockout in the 3rd round against Edwin De Los Santos, where everyone realized, oh, this dude might be a problem. But anywho, he did, but credit to Rayo, he did drop De Los Santos, so that's something. He then lost a unanimous decision to Chris Colbert, where many people thought he won it. And to be honest, it made sense. But other people are saying that he kind of let off the gas and he kind of just bit himself in the ass with that. But it doesn't matter because he avenged it in a very brutal way. But anywho, the champion, Isaac Pitbull Cruz, is 26-2 with 1 draw, 18 wins by way of knockout, and no stoppages, or no losses by way of stoppage. Now, of course, he is coming off of, the title fight against Rolly Romero, where he defeated him in the 8th round via stoppage. Before that, he went split decision with Giovanni Cabrera, where his weakness, sure as hell, got exposed. And before that, he fought, no offense to Gamboa, but in this point of his career, he's kind of a can. And Eduardo Ramirez, no offense to him, he did go decision with Mark McSile, but not really at the elite. But anywho, we all know where one of his losses came from. That came from Gervonta Davis, where people thought he should have got the nod. Other people are saying, well, I just rewatched the fight and he shouldn't have gotten the nod or something, right? But it doesn't matter. Before that, he then got a technical point, and he got this draw back in 2017, so that's something. Now, of course, the weird thing is Raya will be moving up, which will, of course, will probably help him. He is a very long, lanky fighter. He could definitely put on the weight very nicely. And also, it might reinforce his chin. Because although Chris Colbert is a very, very weak puncher, he did move up, so it might have helped him. And, of course, De Los Santos, no offense to him, losing TKO to De Los Santos is not that bad. Considering that dude, his jab out here giving people punch drunk, so that's something. You need to check this dude's bones, made out of adamantium or something. But anywho, who do I got winning? Now, of course, Ryo is still very young. He's 25. Yeah, damn. And Pitbull is only 26. Damn. What the hell? There's a bunch of young guys fighting. But anywho, I'ma say it right here. I'ma put in my pick. Y'all think I'm crazy, but I'ma say it. Valenzuela via 10th round stoppage. That's right, 10th round stoppage. Ryo will stop Pitbull Cruz. You may be wondering, why? Well, first of all, Pitbull got outboxed by Cabrera, who had no defense. Not to mention, if it wasn't for Rolly's non-existent chin, he would have beat Cruz via decision. He was outboxing him too. Like someone said, how do you get defensive highlights from Rolly Romero? That you suck. No offense to Cruz, but that's a little bad. You shouldn't have defensive highlights. You shouldn't be giving him defensive highlights. Yeah, you see out here Rolly picking and poking at him, dodging punches. They're like, what the hell? Of course, Valenzuela is a southpaw. That's right. But he's one of those southpaws where before he was, not really using his southpaw angles, as people would say. A very interesting comparison, that being Zurdo and Alexis Rocha, where both of them were southpaws, but never really used, their southpaw attributes, other than, just bullying their opponents. But then they lost, and then they started becoming these angle masters. Okay, maybe not masters, but they started utilizing the angles and started being slick, like southpaws usually are. And Valenzuela has switched coaches who will make him use those southpaw angles. And considering how bad Rolly was outboxing Pitbull for certain parts of the fight when he wasn't, dazed, Valenzuela will absolutely style on him. I'm just saying, Valenzuela is a southpaw who will finally be using his southpaw angles. Look at what he did to Colbert last time. That's people are calling him Ryochenko. He was styling on Colbert. I mean, obviously those, angles need some work, but, whatever, who cares? It's all, practice makes perfect, as many people say. So yeah, Valenzuela will stop Pitbull Cruz in the 10th round. I am assuming that the weight will make Valenzuela's chin reinforced, where he could take some big punches from Pitbull when he starts to inevitably charge in, most likely with his head. By the way, did you know that he tried to headbutt Cabrera? Yeah, I don't know what that was about. He was getting outboxed so badly, he got mad. But anywho, does Cruz have a chance? Of course, he has. Not really, actually. Moving up in weight, he no longer has that super fast pressuring style that he had before in lightweight. Now he kind of just walks him down. So yeah, I got Jose Valenzuela, 10th round stoppage. You'll probably even go decision too. But you'll beat him. You'll stall on him. Ryochenko will be inevitable. The champion, Ryochenko, 10th round stoppage. Put it in. See, I'm putting a stamp on it. That's right. If you ever hear me say I'm not picking Jose Valenzuela, I'm lying. But anywho, the main event, the very interesting one, Terrence Bud Crawford, the former lineal lightweight world champion, the former undisputed and lineal super lightweight world champion, and the former lineal and undisputed welterweight champion of the world, Terrence Bud Crawford, will be taking on the 10-0 WBA Super Welterweight Champion of the World, ranked number 3 on BoxRec. He is only behind Sebastian Fundora and Virgil Ortiz. We'll talk about that later because Virgil's fight is coming up soon, so we'll talk about why him being number 1 is super weird. But anywho, and he's above Tim Tszyu. You know, I was never on the Tim Tszyu train. If you ever watched the other videos, I did not like Tim Tszyu at all. But I love Tim Tszyu. He's a cool guy. He is better than Madrimov. He beats Madrimov. But enough dilly-dallying. Madrimov is 10-0 with 1 draw. 7 wins by way of knockout. His 1 draw comes by technical decision against Michael Soro because of a headbutt. Unintentional, but it happened. Of course, he is coming off of the title fight for the vacant WBA Super Welterweight Championship of the World against Magomed Kurbanov, the 25-0. TKO in the 5th round. Very nice. Now, of course, he did go decision beforehand against Rafael, 16-3. And 2 other times were back-to-back. Eric Walker, 20-2. And Imani Colombo, 14-0. No way, he beat Vladimir Hernandez. What? But anywho, the challenger now, fighting for the WBA Super Welterweight Championship of the World and the WBO Interim Super Welterweight Championship of the World. We'll talk about that later. Is 40-0 with 31 wins by way of knockout, coming off of a humongous knockout streak on his way to become undisputed in welterweight. Now, of course, the weird thing is, even going in, he kind of went a little bit. The last time he had a decision win was against the very durable Victor Postol back in 2016. That's right, 2016 was the last time he ever went decision. Of course, he is coming off of the very impressive performance about a year ago against Errol Spence Jr. for the undisputed welterweight belts. Now, of course, it was a very bad beating, and it really showed what level Crawford is on. But, of course, people are saying Madrimov has a chance of upsetting Crawford. Is that a thing? Did that happen? No. I like Madrimov a little bit. Not really, because he's ranked above Tim Tszyu. Boo. But he's a very athletic guy. You know, the thing is, he's 10-0 with 11 fights, and he's a champion. That means he's good, right? You know, you very rarely give someone with that little fights, you know, a belt, right? A shot at the belt. And beating Vladimir Hernandez at your debut is nothing short of impressive. But when you look at his fight, he's very, I don't want to say he's not technical, because he's very technical. But he lunges sometimes, he has very wide shots. And overall, all I'm saying is if Crawford did not age like milk in a year, he would be able to catch him in between those shots, catch and shoot, and stop Madrimov in the 6th round if he hasn't aged like milk. Because it's only been a year. You know, after becoming undisputed, the first male undisputed in 2 divisions in the 4-belt era, you deserve a little bit of rest. Your bones are aching. Your palms are sweaty, you know? He needs a little bit of rest. But with that being said, Madrimov, like I said, is very good. He has weird things. He has kind of angles, more for the fact that he's kind of a jumpy type of guy. Not overall super jumpy, but like he could catch Crawford with something. Now, with that being said, unless his chin also ages like milk, he's going to eat that. Madrimov, very good athletic fighter, but the lack of professional fights, and I'm not saying that none of these guys could have exposed them before. Literally, you fought Vladimir Hernandez, that dude be knocking out people who aren't elite, you know? But hindsight's 2020, actually, a little bit, because that was before the whole upset streak. So, you know, that's its own thing. But Crawford will catch him in between shots, hurt him, and stop him in the 6th round. That's what I truly believe. The whole weird thing is it's the WBA belt and the WBO interim belt, obviously meaning that he will be mandatory for Sebastian Fundora, whether or not he fights Errol Spence or not. So that's interesting. Because Tim Tszyu fought Brian Mendoza, and Brian Mendoza had the interim WBC belt, and he had the full WBO belt. Why didn't he become the WBO champion and the WBC interim champion? I may need someone to clarify that for me. I'm confused on that. But anywho, Crawford 6th round stoppage. Jose Ryochenko will stop Isaac Cruz in the 10th round. Andy Ruiz split decision. You never know. Miller can get it done if he outworks Ruiz, which is very much possible. But Ruiz split decision win over Jarrell Miller. Jared Anderson, what did I say? 8th round stoppage, somewhere around there. Against Martin Bakole. He's going to show some level to his game. David Morrell will obviously win by stoppage. Andy Cruz probably by decision. He's only been stopped once, and that wasn't his most recent loss, so that obviously means that his chin... Wait, he's the guy that lost to Devin Haney? Whoa, no, he's the guy that lost to Devin Haney via knockout. That's gotta be so weird. But anywho, hope you enjoy this video, and I'll catch you in the next one.
And Big Daddy Bo got rocked.
Does he know he's hurting? Look at him. That back foot went. It completely shivered. Did you see that, Tom?
You gotta like what you're seeing as we reach the halfway point of this round. He takes a step back.